how much do we really know about where we come from? I mean, about how we became,
Yeah.
well, us, modern humans.
It's a huge question, isn't it? One that scientists have been piecing together for a long time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And today we're doing a deep dive into exactly that, the incredible journey of human evolution. We're going to look at the evidence, for our shared ancestry with other hominins and really unpack this out-of-Africa hypothesis.
Yeah, looking at the genetics, the fossils, the whole picture.
Exactly. And this deep dive is put together especially for you listening, particularly Mr. Cheese students and followers, whether you're just starting out trying to get your head around human origins, or maybe you're already a bit of a high flyer on this topic.
Right. We want to make these sometimes complex ideas feel clear and hopefully pretty exciting.
Yeah, sort of a shortcut to being well-informed, highlighting some surprising bits and, key takeaways from the sources, genetics, fossils, even cultural stuff.
Through a real mix of evidence.
And hey, for more amazing learning adventures like this, make sure you're following and subscribe to Mr. Cheese TikTok and YouTube channels. Seriously, you don't want to miss out.
It's definitely worth checking out.
Okay, let's dive in. Let's start with something really fundamental.
Hmm.
Our genetic family tree. It shows this astonishing closeness between all of us.
It really does. People are often surprised.
You might be, yeah.
Mm.
Modern humans, we are incredibly similar genetically. On average, the difference between any two people is only about 0.1% of our genes.
Which means we share 99.9%. It's tiny, that difference.
It's staggering, really.
Yeah.
All the diversity you see, all our unique traits built on that little fraction.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we zoom out a bit, look at our closest relatives, the great apes.
Mm.
That genetic link is still super strong.
Oh, yeah. Humans and apes share, somewhere between about 97 and nearly 99% of their genes?
And our absolute closest living relatives, chimpanzees, right?
That's right. Chimps. We share about 98.8% of our DNA with them.
Now, that 1.2% difference, it sounds small.
But it's actually huge in evolutionary terms. Well, it's about 10 to 12 times greater than the tiny 0.1% difference between individual humans. So small percentage, big impact. It really frames our shared biology.
Okay, so how do scientists actually trace this back? How do they figure out when species split?
Well, what's truly illuminating here is how they use these genetic threads. A really key tool is something called mitochondrial DNA, mtDNA.
Right, I've heard of that. It's different from the DNA in the nucleus.
Exactly. It's found in the mitochondria, the sort of powerhouses of the cell. And it's incredibly useful because it's passed down almost exclusively from mother to child, generation after generation, without much mixing.
Okay.
But the genius part is this. Tiny changes, mutations, happen over time at a fairly predictable rate. So the mtDNA acts like a molecular clock.
A clock ticking away in our cells.
Sort of. By comparing these built-up mutations between different groups or even different species, scientists can estimate how long ago they shared a common ancestor. It's quite clever.
So using that clock, what does it tell us about us and, say, chimps?
Well, one thing people often get wrong is thinking humans evolved from chimps. That's not it.
Right, it's more like cousins.
Exactly. These genetic analyses, especially with mtDNA, they strongly point to humans and other hominins. That's us, extinct human relatives, ancestors like Australopithecus, sharing a common ape-like ancestor.
And when did this ancestor live?
The estimates point to somewhere around 5 to 6 million years ago, so we branched off from the line leading to chimps back then. It's not just a theory. It's written in our genes.
Wow, 5 to 6 million years. It really drives home that shared heritage, even with those small genetic differences leading to big outcomes. But okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. Moving beyond genes to, what makes us feel human? Culture, innovation. We think of tool use, right? That's a human thing.
Well, yes and no. Turns out animals are pretty smart tool users too.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, you've got monkeys, like capuchins in South America, using stones, banging them to crack open nuts. Pretty smart stuff.
Okay, cracking nut.
And chimpanzees. Our relatives use sticks to fish for termites out of mounds, or use bundles of grass like sponges to get water or honey. They're adapting, using objects.
So if animals use tools, what's the big deal about human tool use? What sets us apart?
You've hit it. While other animals use tools, sometimes quite effectively, the key difference is the deliberate manufacturing of tools.
Making them, not just finding them.
Exactly. Taking raw materials, stone, bone, wood, and purposefully shaping them for a specific task. That seems to be unique to our genus, Homo. It's the birth of real technology.
And that started When?
Well, the earliest, simplest ones we know of are the Oldowan tools, around 2.6 million years ago, associated with Homo habilis. Basically, sharp flakes knocked off a bigger stone core. Probably not even sharp enough to cut raw meat easily, but a start.
Okay, simple flakes. Then what?
Then you see a jump with Homo erectus, maybe 1.7 million years ago. They started making things like hand axes more symmetrical, clearly designed, multi-purpose tools. We find them in places like Kenya, South Africa.
So more planning involved.
Definitely more foresight. Then, fast forward to about 250,000 years ago, with early Homo sapiens like us, you get even sharper flakes, scrapers, almost knife-like.
Getting more refined.
And it keeps going. Around 40, 50,000 years ago, you see longer, thinner, more elegant blade-like tools. Then maybe 20,000 years ago, composite tools appear, spears with stone or bone points hafted onto shafts, tiny stone chips called microliths stuck together with animal sinew, real ingenuity.
Wow. That's quite an evolution in technology itself.
It really is. That whole Stone Age era, defined by this toolmaking, finally starts to shift around 5,000 years ago with the advent of metalworking, copper, bronze, iron. It's this amazing continuous thread of innovation.
Beyond tools, what else? What other big cultural shifts happened?
Well, two absolutely massive ones were fire and art.
Fire. Right, that had to be huge.
Think about it. Controlling fire. It provides warmth, obviously.
Well, yeah.
That allows moving into colder areas, expanding range, protection from predators, too.
And cooking.
Crucially, cooking makes food safer, easier to digest, unlocks more nutrients. Some think that extra energy boost from cooked food was vital for fueling our growing brains.
Makes sense. And you mentioned a social aspect.
Yeah, imagine sitting around a campfire, sharing food stories. It likely helped build stronger social bonds, cooperation, group cohesion. Really fundamental.
Okay, fire is huge. What about art? When does that appear?
The very earliest hints, maybe symbolic objects, could go back 100,000 years. But the really clear stuff, like cave paintings.
The famous ones in France and Spain.
Those too, but some of the earliest known are around 40,000 years old. And there's an incredible amount found in South Africa, for example, the rock paintings of the San people, the Kung.
Oh yeah, what did they paint?
Often animals, especially the eland antelope. It seems the eland held huge spiritual importance for them, featuring in rituals, maybe rites of passage. It wasn't just decoration.
So why art? What was the point?
Well, we can only speculate, of course, but it might have been about bonding people together, reinforcing social ties needed for survival, for reproduction. Maybe it was an early form of spiritual expression, trying to understand the world, their place in it.
Trying to make sense of it all.
Perhaps. It shows this incredible capacity for abstract thought, for creativity, problem solving, skills that really define the human experience, even today, things you use in your own learning.
Absolutely. So, okay. We've got genetics pointing to shared ancestry. We've got this incredible explosion of tool-making, fire, art. What's the big picture story these lines of evidence tell?
They all converge beautifully on what's called the out of Africa hypothesis. It's really the cornerstone of our understanding of modern human origins.
Okay, break that down. What's the core idea?
Simply put, all modern humans, Homo sapiens like us, originated in Africa first and then migrated out to populate the rest of the globe.
And the timeline for that?
The thinking is that our species, Homo sapiens, evolved in eastern and southern Africa roughly 150,000 to 200,000 years ago.
Okay, quite recently in the grand scheme.
Relatively, yes. And then these modern humans started spreading out, migrating maybe around 70,000 years ago into the Middle East first, then Europe, Asia, Australia, eventually crossing into the Americas perhaps 20,000 years ago or so.
An incredible journey.
Truly an epic migration.
Yeah.
And it connects every single person alive today back to that African origin point.
And you said the evidence is strong. It's not just a guess.
Oh, no, it's far beyond a guess. It's supported by really powerful converging evidence from both genetics and the fossil record.
Okay, let's start with genetics. How does that support out of Africa?
Well, remember that mitochondrial DNA, the molecular clock we talked about?
Yeah, passed down from the mother.
Exactly. When scientists analyzed mtDNA from populations all over the world, they found something striking. African populations today have the greatest amount of variation, the most mtDNA markers.
More variation means?
Precisely. It indicates those populations have been around the longest, accumulating mutations over more time. It's a strong genetic signal pointing to Africa as the origin.
Wow.
And they can even trace it back further. The analysis suggests the most recent common ancestor for all living humans, based on mtDNA, lived in eastern Africa around 150,000 years ago. A sort of mitochondrial Eve.
So the genetics gives us a place in a rough time.
Mm-hmm. And it also helps date the migration out of Africa. Based on the mtDNA markers found in non-African populations, the estimate is that migration happened around 60,000 to 70,000 years ago.
How did they even manage that journey?
Well, it might have been helped by climate change. During an ice age, sea levels were lower. The Red Sea, for instance, might have been narrower, possibly easier to cross into the Arabian Peninsula, which was the first step out.
Amazing. Okay, so the genetics point strongly to Africa. What about the fossils?
The fossil record tells the exact same story, basically. It's remarkably consistent.
How so?
Well, think about the earliest hominins we know of, species like Ardipithecus, Australopithecus. Their fossils have only ever been found in Africa. Nowhere else.
Only Africa.
Same goes for the earliest species in our own genus, Homo habilis. Again, only found in Africa so far.
What about Homo erectus? They were the first to leave Africa, weren't they?
They were later on, but the oldest Homo erectus fossils, the earliest ones dating back maybe 1.9 to 1.4 million years ago, they're found in eastern and southern Africa.
So even they started there.
Seems so. And crucially, the oldest fossils identified as our own species, Homo sapiens, dated to around 195,000 and 160,000 years ago. Also found in Africa, Ethiopia specifically.
So from the earliest potential ancestors right up to the first modern humans, the fossil trail consistently starts in Africa.
Exactly. It paints this really clear, unambiguous picture. Genetics and fossils telling one coherent story. Africa is where it all began for us.
It's just incredible how scientists piece this together from bits of bone and stone, whispers in the earth, really.
It takes incredible patience and skill.
Let's talk about some of those actual discoveries. South Africa's famous, right? The cradle of humankind.
Oh, absolutely. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, just northwest of Johannesburg. Not just one cave, but a whole area with about 15 different sites. And it's yielded more hominin fossils than anywhere else on Earth. A true treasure trove.
Wow. Any specific sites there?
The Sterkfontein Caves are probably the most famous within the cradle. They found something like 500 hominin fossils there alone. That's nearly 40% of all hominin fossils found worldwide. Just staggering.
What kind of fossils?
Well, Sterkfontein is where Robert Broom found Mrs. Pliss back in 1947. That was the most complete skull of Australopithecus africanus found at the time. A really key find for understanding our early bipedal ancestors.
Mrs. Pliss, okay.
And then there's Littlefoot, discovered painstakingly over years by Ron Clark and his team starting in 1997. It's an incredibly complete Australopithecus skeleton and possibly the oldest fossil from the cradle area, maybe 4.2 to 3.9 million years old.
Almost 4 million years. And wasn't there a more recent, really surprising find there?
Ah, you're thinking of Homo naledi. Yes, in 2013, Lee Berger and his team announced this amazing discovery from a different cave system, Rising Star. They recovered over 1,500 fossils from at least 15 individuals.
A whole new species.
A previously unknown hominin species, yes. Homo naledi. It's fascinating because it has this weird mix of ancient traits, like a small brain, but also more modern-looking hands and feet. It's really shaking things up.
Wow. Any other key South African sites?
Definitely. There's Malapa, where Berger also found Australopithecus sediba, sometimes called Homo sediba, dated around 2 million years old. It's seen as potentially a transitional species, linking earlier Australopithecines to the first Homo.
A missing link, maybe?
Possibly, or at least showing that transition happening.
Oh.
And we can't forget Tong. That's where the story of African hominin fossils really began in a way, the Tong child skull.
What was special about that?
Found way back in the 1920s by Raymond Dart. It was the very first Australopithecus africanus specimen ever identified. At the time, most scientists thought humans originated in Asia. Tongue Child challenged all that, suggesting Africa was the place. A monumental discovery.
So South Africa is just packed with clues.
Absolutely packed, but East Africa is just as important. The Great Rift Valley, especially.
Rift Valley, why there?
It's this massive geological feature, stretches 2,000 kilometers through Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania. The tectonic activity has exposed ancient layers of rock, making it an ideal place to find fossils.
Okay, so where in East Africa?
Ethiopia has some iconic sites. Hadar in the Ofar region. That's where Donald Johanson found Lucy in 1974.
Lucy. Everyone's heard of Lucy.
Right? Australopithecus afarensis. She was incredibly complete for her age, about 3.2 million years old. Gave us a fantastic snapshot of an early upright walker. And they found hundreds of other fossils at Hadar, too.
Any other Ethiopian finds?
Middle Awash is another key area. That's where Tim White and his team found Ardipithecus ramidus, or Ardi fossils, even older than Lucy, pushing back our knowledge of early hominins.
Okay, Ethiopia, what about Kenya?
Kenya's huge, too. Around Lake Turkana, Richard Leakey's team found the Turkana boy in 1984.
Turkana boy.
The most complete skeleton ever found of Homo erectus, about 1.6 million years old, gave us incredible insight into their body proportions, how they moved. Also near Omo River, Richard Leakey found those very early Homo sapiens remains, the 195,000-year-old ones.
So Kenya has early Homo erectus and the early Homo sapien.
Exactly. And then there's Tanzania. Olduvai Gorge is legendary.
The Leakeys worked there, right? Louis and Mary Leakey.
They did for decades. That's where they found crucial Homo habilis fossils in the 1960s. The handyman, along with those Oldowan tools, really established the antiquity of humans in Africa.
And wasn't there something else amazing found in Tanzania? Footprints?
Ah, the Litoli footprints, yes. Yeah. Mary Leakey discovered those in 1976, found near Olduvai. They're preserved in volcanic ash dating back about 3.6 million years.
And they're hominin footprints.
Unmistakably. 2 or 3 individuals walking upright, side by side, clear heel strike, arch, big toe and line. Unambiguous evidence of early efficient bipedalism. Just an incredible evocative snapshot from the past.
Goosebumps. Just imagining them walking there. These discoveries really bring the story to life, don't they?
They absolutely do. Turns dry facts into real moments, real individuals.
So we've touched on tools, art, location. But let's focus on one really key biological change. The brain. There's a clear trend, isn't there? Our brains got bigger.
Oh, dramatically so. If you track the average cranial capacity through the fossil record, the increase is undeniable.
Give us some examples, like starting early.
Okay, take Ardipithecus ramidus, around 5 million years ago. Its brain was tiny, maybe 350 milliliters, chimp-sized, basically.
Like a 350 milliliter.
Then Australopithecus afarensis, Lucy's species, around 3.4 million years ago, maybe 460 milliliters on average. A bit bigger, but still small. By 2.6 million years ago, some Australopithecines reached maybe 520 milliliter.
So slow increase initially.
Yeah. Then you get to Homo habilis about 2 million years ago, around 650 millibel, a noticeable jump.
Okay, getting bigger. Like a grapefruit now.
Something like that. Then Homo erectus, around 1.2 million years ago, a big leap to about 950 millibellus on average.
Nearly double the early ones.
Pretty much. And then our own species, Homo sapiens, appearing maybe 200,000 years ago, average brain size around 1,500 millilels, sometimes even a bit more.
1,500 millilels. That's a huge increase from 350.
It's more than quadrupled over millions of years. It's one of the defining trends in human evolution.
So this raises a really important question, doesn't it? What did that bigger brain allow our ancestors to do?
Exactly. It wasn't just size for size's sake. That increase in capacity, and probably more importantly, the increasing complexity and reorganization of the brain, that's what likely powered those cultural advancements we discussed.
Like the tool making.
Absolutely. Making those more complex tools, like hand axes or spears, requires planning, foresight, better hand-eye coordination, things a more developed brain facilitates.
And controlling fire.
That, too, requires understanding cause and effect, planning, maybe even communication to manage it as a group.
And art. Symbolic thought.
Definitely. Abstract thinking, symbolism, perhaps complex language. These are hallmarks of a highly developed brain. You need that cognitive horsepower to conceive of and create art, to develop complex social structures and rituals.
So the biological change, the bigger brain, and the cultural changes, tools, fire, art, they kind of fueled each other.
That's a great way to put it. It was likely a feedback loop. Better tools and fire might have led to better nutrition, which supported brain growth. A bigger brain allowed for more complex behaviors, which in turn might have driven further brain evolution. Biology and culture are constantly interacting.
Wow. What an incredible journey we've traced today. It's really mind-bending when you put it all together.
It really is.
We started with our genes, finding out we're 99.9% the same, sharing that deep history with apes, all pointing back to Africa.
That genetic bedrock.
Then we saw the rise of culture tools becoming ever more complex, the mastery of fire changing everything, the dawn of art showing abstract thought.
Real milestones in becoming human.
And all underpinned by that Out of Africa story, supported so strongly by both the genetics like mtDNA and that amazing fossil record from places like Stertfontein, Olduvai, Hadar.
Yeah, the evidence really converges beautifully. It's a powerful scientific narrative.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, what's the takeaway? Why does understanding this deep past matter today?
Well, I think understanding our evolutionary journey is fundamental to understanding ourselves. It shows us we're a product of immense change, adaptation, innovation. It connects us not just to each other across the globe, but to the entire history of life.
A story of resilience, maybe.
Resilience, creativity, connection. It highlights our capacity for change, for problem solving. It's our shared inheritance.
That's a powerful thought. Okay, as we wrap up, I want to leave everyone listening with something to chew on. A final question.
Go for it.
Given everything we've talked about, how dramatically our ancestors changed physically, behaviorally over millions of years, adapting, inventing, what future changes, evolutionary or cultural, do you think might be in store for humanity? Where are we headed next?
Ooh, that's a big one to ponder.
Definitely something to think about. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into human evolution today. We really hope it sparked your curiosity.
Hope you found it interesting.
Keep exploring, keep asking those questions. And remember, for more fantastic insights and learning adventures, make sure you follow and subscribe to Mr. Chi's TikTok and YouTube channels. Don't miss out. Thanks again for tuning in.